when I say the word youthful, it can be kind of triggering for some women because they'll think that I'm saying you have to be young. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying you have to be young. Age is just a number, but youthfulness is a mindset. It's an energy that you bring. And I've met some women who are in their 20s and they have the youthfulness or lack thereof of a 90-year-old. And I've met some 90-year-olds who have the youthfulness of a 22-year-old. All right, today we have Maureen, one of our love coaches here at Love Strategies, and we're going to be talking about a few powerful strategies for finding love after 50. And let me tell you something, Maureen. If you asked the Adam from 10 years ago and asked him, do you think Adam's going to be giving advice to women in their 50s for love? He'd be like, absolutely not. There's no way. Because I was coaching men who are in their 20s and 30s on how to find love and so on and so forth. But the craziness of my life has somehow found me into a place where the vast majority of our clients are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. I mean, we've had clients in the 70s, 80s. I even spoke to a woman in her mid-90s. She was telling me stories about like World War II and dating back then. So it's wild. So it's pretty wild to have this conversation today, but I should say that I feel like you are an expert in this area, and I'm doing way too much talking, but I do want to set the stage for how cool Maureen is. Maureen came out with this video when she turned 60, and it's called I'm Sexy and I Know It. You know the song like, I'm sexy and I know it. She made the words, I'm sexy and I know it, and Google it. It's on YouTube. It's so fun. And Maureen, I just think you like embody so much of what we teach when it comes to all this. So without further ado, I don't know, is there anything you want to kind of tell the group about yourself when it comes to dating in your 50s and 60s and beyond?
Well, thank you for that introduction. Yeah, just for me, I just wanted to, it was like, as I saw that number coming, looming, it really intimidated me. And I thought, I have to actually take it head on. Like I've got to do something with that number to just embrace it, but to not be owned by it. And so that's why
Yeah.
I came up with that video. And so, but I feel so strongly that it's like to be playful and to be active and to have fun is so youthful. And it's
Yeah.
absolutely, I mean, obviously for me, my best romantic experiences of my life have come after 50. And for me, the very best came at 59.
Yeah. That's incredible. That's incredible.
Mhm.
So I think you can offer so much. I mean, she manages our community as well as she comes to Mastermind. She's our coach. She's been with it. You've been with us for well over a year now, correct, Maureen? And
I found your Love Steps like almost 3 years ago, but I've been in the community almost 2 years. October is
2 years.
when, yeah. Actually, it
That's what
has
I
been
thought.
2 years because I was in the community and I was coaching, as a non-employee at this point 2 years ago. Yeah.
Got it. That's what I thought. That's what I
Yeah.
thought. So Maureen is a pro with all this stuff, and she has helped, I kid you not, thousands of our clients who are over 50, helping them attract love. And I think this age group can be, in particular, dating past 50 can be really challenging because it's like two very different type of women. One are women in their 50s who are like, I love it. This is exciting. I've gotten out of this divorce, this hellhole of a relationship or whatever it is. And now I'm invigorated. This is exciting. And then we have other clients who are like, God help me. Get me out of it. I hate every second of this. I wish I was back to being 22 years old again, and so on and so forth. So that's really what we want to kind of reconfigure today, a little bit of these mindsets and give you some actual strategies that you can use if you are over the age of 50. So we can get you out there attracting that love just like Maureen has. So let's talk about the first piece that we always start with our strategies with mindset. Because mindset, it really dictates everything else that we do, our actions, our tactics, our strategy, and so on and so forth. And I think the first important mindset shift that anyone in their 50s has to have is shifting this idea that finding love in your 50s has to be hard and it's a bad thing. And shifting that to being, wow, actually dating my 50s and beyond is actually a good thing. It's actually an asset being in my 50s and beyond because I know who I am. I know what I want. I'm more confident, more established than I was previously. And I think that there's just a little bit of shift in perspective, a reframing that people can have. It says, you know what? Actually, I'd rather be dating now in this age group than I was certainly back in my 20s. I'm curious on your thoughts on that, Maureen.
Yeah, I definitely feel that way, and it's also that mindset of like, oh, I'm one of the strong, lucky ones that's here. Like I've been through all these experiences. I've gained wisdom all these years. I know who I am, and I'm healthy, and I'm a badass. I mean,
Yeah.
when you've been through decades of life like that, you have a lot to offer. You have a lot of substance to offer. And if with the mindset of playfulness, youthfulness, having fun with it, um, it's a treat. It's super fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you can just look at this time frame in your life, and this is easy to say from a guy in his late 30s. I get it. So maybe it has to come from you, but that's a lot of what we all impart. I mean, all of our coaches who are female are in their 50s and 60s, right?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
so there's just some power there where it's like there's this wisdom of all these years of you
Yeah.
know uh, challenges, and you bring this to your love life finally, and you're like, maybe now is the time where it's like it just all comes together, and it really can with the right strategy.
That's so true. Yeah, that's really true.
Yeah, and that I just feel like it's especially true with this age group when they come in, and there's just some clients that we have to start with that reconfiguration of their thinking when it comes to dating in this age group. 'Cause so many are
Yeah.
just like, there's no way this will ever happen. It's not possible. Men don't want me because I'm in this age group. I think it's a really big one that just
Yeah.
guys don't want to date women in their same age group. And that's a huge challenge that we really need to overcome. So yeah, I'd be curious actually on your thoughts on that because we didn't even have that as a concept, but I think it's worth talking about because I think a lot of women have that belief system that all guys who are in their 60s just want to date the 25-year-old,
Right.
whatever.
Right. Yeah, I have a friend, who a person I know personally who recently, is splitting up with a husband, and she's so worried because she's this age and people are telling her like, "Oh, it's going to be really hard. There aren't that many." I don't know, she's getting all this weird support, and I told her, "Are you crazy?" Like I had such a fun time dating. There was an abundance of
Yeah.
men who were also in this age group that were interested. Um, so that's where mindset is really key in this regard. So we
Yeah.
we provide an environment where you just get reflected back to you that there are abundant choices for you, and
Right.
don't listen to people that are going to scare you, that it's hard at this age. I've never had so much
Yeah.
fun as dating at this age.
And really, like, let's put physical appearance aside as well, because I mean, you look incredible for your 60s. Okay, we all cannot say that, Maureen. You look amazing. But
Thank
we
you.
have some clients who will come on and like we'll have some clients who are absolutely beautiful in their 50s and 60s and beyond, and they'll come on and they're like, I've been trying to do this, but there are no good men out there. And then I'll have some clients who are not like your typical like beauty in their 60s who are like, I've been actually leaning into little love steps, actually
Yep.
getting out there, and I'm having so much fun. I can't even tell you how many guys there are out there. And sometimes on masterminds, I'll have to be like, wait, hold on. Let's bring back that other woman who's saying that there's no guys available. And let's get them all together here because let's talk about this. Because the woman A, the first woman who's complaining that there are no good men, she's saying that out of no place of real experience because she hasn't actually been dating. She hasn't actually been trying because she's filled with all this head trash that says, no, men don't want me my age. I don't want to do it. You got to actually get out there and see what's actually out there because, yeah, sure, some percentage of men only want to date women in their 20s and 30s, whatever. There's a vast majority of other men, high value, well put together men who wouldn't want to be with a woman who's that young. They want to be with a woman who's on their emotional level. I think it's just
Yeah.
so important.
Yeah, and that's where when you really see it, it's so much about energy and not
Yeah.
physical attributes. It's about energy. So when we have so many women that have this great energy about dating and they're just having fun with it and
Yeah.
they're having an abundance of options.
Yeah. Well, and that leads us to an important point that we're going to discuss. We'll jump ahead to this one, which is just flirting with that youthful, vibrant energy. And when I say the word youthful, it can be kind of triggering for some women because they'll think that I'm saying you have to be young. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying you have to be young. Age is just a number, but youthfulness is a mindset. It's an energy that you can bring. And I've met some women who are in their 20s and they have the youthfulness or lack thereof of a 90-year-old. And I've met some 90-year-olds who have the youthfulness of a 22-year-old. And so it really is very much so in energy that if you can learn how to be curious, how to be excited about the world again, about be excited about learning about the human being that you're going on a date with and bringing that energy to your love life and openness. That's all kind of useful energy that any woman can bring at any age. I'd be curious to your kind of challenges trying to incorporate this into your love life and where you kind of settled. I'd be curious of your thoughts
Yeah, I was just thinking I think that I've become more playful, as time has gone on.
there.
So I can see myself 10 years ago or whatever being more serious. So for me, by the time I found your program, I was just I was just in a really good place where I feel good about myself. And I knew that I didn't want to settle for, less than a great, awesome, mutual, fantastic relationship. Um, and so I had a sense of fun about it. I had a sense of play, just even about dating from the little love steps. It was like I kind of went into online dating with this like kind of bold, fun, adventurous feeling.
Right.
And so that's that's definitely what I recommend, for anyone because no matter how old you are, it's that playful youthfulness that makes a huge difference.
I mean, it's that three-letter word that you said a few times, which is fun. If this isn't fun, it's not going to work. If this isn't fun, then you're doing it wrong. It's not going to work if it's not fun because you will stop doing it. Like
Yeah.
humans are only drawn to things that make them feel good and that you enjoy. And that's why, like, why don't people stick with exercising? Well, if you don't enjoy it, if every time you go to the gym, it's like, this is the worst thing ever in the world, you're not going to stick with it. It doesn't mean the first few times you go to the gym, that's going to be enjoyable. But before you know it, it starts to become more enjoyable, more enjoyable. And I think dating is very similar. It's like, okay, the first few meetups you go on, it's going to be really uncomfortable. You're going to be nervous. Yeah, is it hard to make it fun at that point? You could try as best you can, try to use all our strategies, all our mindset. But once you get into a flow with it a little bit with online dating, it should become actually quite enjoyable and really exciting and invigorating and new, full of variety and different types of characters. Yeah, you're going to go on some dates and the guy's going to have dragon breath and he's going to be, hi, nice to meet you. Yeah, like that's going to happen. But like you could come out of that date being like, okay, that was insane. I'm going to put that in my book of all the boyfriends that I should,
Right,
whatever,
right.
or, you can come out and be like, dating is the worst thing in the world. I'm never doing that ever again. And it's just like it's all perspective, and it's all just a matter of making it fun for yourself. You know?
And I think one really important part of that is what you talk about all the time, which is outcome independence. Because if we're not and this goes into a little bit of one-itis, which is something we talk about in our program. But if you can just go on dates without being attached to how it goes and just, that's what makes it fun. And that's where
Right.
I think in the past, where it hasn't been fun for me is if I was attached to something particular, working out with this particular person. Um,
Relearning.
so being free to, to not be attached to any how it's going to go with any one date and just consider each one an adventure, that does make it fun.
Yeah. And I feel like when you're younger, that's easier to do because when you're dating, you're just kind of like, I am just kind of maybe looking to have fun. I'm not sure what I want, you know? And as you get older and you get more clear about wanting a partner and a lifelong partner, committed relationship, it suddenly makes the process less fun when you have this like thing that you're trying to create.
Yeah.
But what we teach is have that vision for yourself, create that vision. It's a little love step 2, be very clear about what it is. But all along the way of finding it, it's actually going to be really fun and it's going to be really exciting. And you got to lean back throughout the process. It's almost like there's a little bit of a duality there. Like on one
That's
hand,
right.
we're saying be very focused and have this goal, while at the same time we're like lean back and really enjoy it and don't take it too seriously. Like it's the most important decision in your life, the person you end up with. And you got to take that seriously, but do it in a very fun, laid back way. you know?
That's so true. That's so true because it's all about that leaning back and trusting the process as opposed to like you talk about, don't interview someone on a date. Like don't be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, like, well, yeah, I got to find out everything about you so I can know if this is." No, you're just having fun and you're trusting this process that when you date people, you're going to get to know them and you're going to learn about them and one's going to rise to the top, So it really is a dichotomy of like being, a powerful person who has intention about what you want and then trusting the process, let it unfold,
yeah,
you know.
definitely. Which actually leads to another point we had, which mentioned going into this is just lowering your expectations for dates or what we call meetups. When you first meet up with someone for the first time, lower your expectations for those meetups, but increase your expectations for your partnership, who you truly end up with. And what I
Yes.
mean by this is be willing to go out with guys who maybe on the first date aren't going to just knock you off your chair and just like you get the butterflies. You can't stop thinking about him and like that the way that you felt when we were all teenagers and so on and so forth. Don't expect that on a first meetup or first date. It's a different season of life. You may not get that. Or at the same token, I want you to really increase your expectations of who you're going to spend the rest of your life with. So I'd be curious on your thoughts on that if you agree with that.
Yes, definitely. And one of the most important things I think is that don't know that on a first date, a second date, a third date, you're not going to know. And so don't get even if you are kind of blown away by them. See, I don't trust it when I hear people say, "Oh my god, we went on a first date. Oh my god, our chemistry is off the charts." To me
Yeah.
that is the death knell. Like that's not a good sign because you don't want that physical chemistry to be the thing that is just flared up and overriding everything. It should be one part of it, but you have to go on a lot of dates and meet a lot of people to keep yourself in that qualifying mindset where you're learning and you are taking your time.
Yeah. And I just want to be clear. I think what you were saying, I want to expand on, which is like, it's a red flag if you go on a first date and you say, oh my God, he's the one. He has everything I could possibly want. Like, he's so funny. He's so great. He's got a great job. He is the man I want to be with. That's a red flag because there's no nuance there. And you're saying things about this man that you couldn't possibly actually know. We don't know anything about him. It's only been one date. Now, on the other hand, if a client comes up and date and says, wow, I'm really excited. This guy has a lot to offer. He's really funny, but I'm going to give it a lot of time, get to know him first, and let's see if all this really shakes out. That is something I would totally support and say, great, let's be cautiously optimistic. Let's be cautiously optimistic. I want you to be optimistic. I'm not here to be like, no, don't
Right.
feel excited about a first date. But like,
Yes.
let's be realists here. For all we know, what does this guy do? He kicks puppies every weekend for fun. We don't know anything about him. Okay. We don't know what his anything. So let's give it a
Yes.
little bit of time and lower kind of the temperature a little bit. And
Yes.
that's a lot of what we're doing. It's just like we're kind of like wet blankets and love strategists here. Like we're just like, I don't know. Give it some time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think, and Gary was even talking about this. There's data that shows that the longer you expand the dating process, the better outcome for that relationship. And so we're just always like, expand it, drag this out longer. The longer you put off, fully investing yourself emotionally, the better. And I don't, I think that's women. This is not a scientific point of view because I'm not a scientist, but I do believe that there's something in us that makes us want to get secured with somebody once we start having feelings. And so we are literally, it's counterintuitive for a lot of us to take our time to stay diversified and keep talking to multiple people, not get just focused on one. This is counterintuitive, but it's so important for us because it helps us stay empowered while we're learning about men, while we're really seeing, could are we compatible? Do their
Agreed.
actions match their words over time? These are the important things we need to learn. And we can't learn them if we dive in because we start having feelings. Then all we just
Yeah.
want to do is make it work. And we start justifying everything to see it working.
And you know what's my favorite excuse I hear when clients jump in too quickly if they're over 50? They're like, honey, I ain't got much longer to live. All right. I gotta make things happen. Like, what
Right.
are you talking about? Oh my God. Go talk to any of like they're trying to say something that I can't rebuttal because like, oh, you don't get it because you're younger. I gotta make things happen quick. I'm like, so you don't have a month? You don't have a month? Like
Right.
you can't wait a month?
Yeah.
6 months, you have a year, like you're going to be okay. And by slowing it down in the short term, you're actually speeding up the entire process of finding the right person. Because the worst thing you can do is jump right into a brand new relationship without knowing the guy, investing all of your emotional energy into that guy, being with him for 6 months to a year, and then realizing that he's a narcissistic sociopath that treats you like crap and
Yep.
never really wanted anything in the first place. So I'd rather personally move intentionally slow, have the right signs, understand what we teach about relationship risk, getting involved with the wrong person, understanding all the concepts we teach. Rather have that and move slower so that the elapse process is actually much faster in the end.
Yes, that is so true.
But that's a tough one to teach. No one wants
Yeah.
to hear that.
And we do
Yeah.
have at over 50, you do have a leg up in one way, as far as going slower, at
Cool.
least in my experience, because of the different hormonal milieu of life at that
Yeah.
point. I don't know if you
Please
want
explain more. Yeah, let's dive into that. I would love to hear your thoughts on
to. Okay. Well, so in my experience, and I can only speak for myself, but the childbearing years, there's a hormonal roller coaster that happens every month, or a cycle, but it has a big impact on emotions and the desire and the need to have a baby is something that is going on under the surface. And so my experience is that over past menopause, there's less of that dramatic cycling, um, and it can make it, at least for me, it just feels like it gives me a more steady point of view, and made it easier for me to go slow and to not jump into things. Because that used to be
Really?
my sort of I'd be driven to jump into things by my very own hormones. So
Yeah.
that's one way that I think it's really a benefit to be dating at this age.
I also think the same is true for men. I mean, our sex drive as we get older diminishes with time. And when a man is in his certainly teens, but then you get into his 20s, I mean, it's just like there's an untruth that men think about sex every 7 seconds. That's been proven wrong. We don't think about it every 7 seconds, but certainly in my 20s, I'd say every like 7 minutes. Like it's
Hmm.
just top of mind. And then as you get older, as the guy gets older in his 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, certainly that sex drive isn't there so much clouding our judgment either. Now, are
Right.
men still sexual creatures? Do they still driving towards it? Yes, of course. And I know plenty of guys who are in their 60s who are just as immature as guys in their 20s. I get all that. But I do think that there's something about lowering the emotional temperature once you're a little bit older, where it's like you're no longer driven by these, like you said, these baby making urges. And you can look at a relationship for and you can look at the things that matter most for a long-term relationship, such as companionship, friendship, being with someone who makes you feel good, being with someone who just likes to do the same things, who makes you smile, makes you feel all those things are not things you think about so much when you're in your 20s and you're just like, oh my God, like just want to jump each other's bones 24/7.
Right.
So I think it's a really
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
So all of these things are assets, right? And you got to think about your assets at different stages of life and different seasons of life. And so hopefully you all have taken something from this. Just know that you are the prize. If you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, so long as you truly believe it. And if you're going to the process jaded, feeling like, oh, I'm 57, there's no way a man would be interested in me. Well, guess what? It's going to be a self fulfilling prophecy. And so I'd love to end it with just some of your thoughts, Maureen, about really embedding those concepts into your everyday being when you're going out and dating, when you're in this age group. I think it can be really, really challenging for a lot of women to get past that belief.
Yeah. Um, yes, I'm glad you asked that because I was just writing about this the other day, and I was writing about how the mindset that you are the prize, it's not even something to believe, it's something to decide. It's like a decision you make to adopt that mindset. And another, like, we're going to do a special mastermind on self-care this week, tomorrow actually. Um,
That's
and
exciting.
so I've been thinking a lot about self-care and how important that is for investing in yourself as the prize, putting yourself first. But it truly is a decision. It's just, it's like a bold decision to believe that and to act as if that is true, and to only spend time with men that see you that way. So, and it's powerful. It's really powerful.
Yeah. And I think with that note, because you're so involved in the community and everything we do, and the community is such a focal point of our coaching programs and everything we do, I think regardless of whether you work with us or or not, it's so important to look at who you surround yourself with. Because if you're around friends who are reinforcing a message that says you're not the prize because you're in your 50s and 60s,
Hmm.
all they're doing is putting their own head trash onto you. That's their own BS that they have going around in their head. And they want to put you down because guess what? If you do find love and you're in your 50s and 60s, guess how that'll make them feel about themselves? They'll feel worse because they'll think to themselves, oh, well, if she's done it, then I don't know. It like won't cannot compute. So what do? They try to bring you down to their level. And so just keep in mind the people you surround yourself with, we really are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. And so if you're surrounded by girlfriends and other people who are telling you you're not the prize, and they won't say it directly like that, but it'll be in subtle ways, such as,
Hmm.
oh, online dating doesn't work when you're in your 50s. Oh, you
Yeah.
can't start dating when you're 70. No way. or men only want to date women in their 20s. That's all just reinforcing this message that you're not the prize. And so if you're finding yourself with people like that, I would say be super intentional about stepping away from them and finding a community that does support that. And that's really a lot of, I
Yes.
feel like, what you do, Maureen, is just constantly reinforcing that message.
That's true. That's absolutely true. Yeah. And sometimes people will be like maybe they're in a long marriage that, that isn't great, but they want to tell you like, well, I mean, then maybe they're telling themselves like it's not worth it. I'll just stick with what I've got, or people have their own reasons for shooting down, your optimism. But we see it. I mean, I feel like we live in a vortex of incredible love stories, and we see it, and it's all about choosing, making the decision that that you are the prize, and um just taking ownership of your own story and of your own self-image, just boldly claiming it.
Amen. Perfect place to end. Thank you, Maureen. That was great.
Yeah, thank you.